Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Sasquatch Watch Radio with your host, Billy Willard, and the Blog Squatcher. Strap in, hold on tight, get ready, because it is about to go down.
Alrighty, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Sasquatch Watch Radio. Today is September 7th, 2009. I hope everybody had a wonderful and great Labor Day. I'm sure that most of you had a nice 3-day weekend, which, we can all use one of those every now and then. So I'm your host, Billy Willard, and welcome our wonderful co-host, DB Donlin. How you doing tonight, DB?
Just fine, Billy. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
All right.
Can you hear me loud and clear?
Oh,
good.
Yeah. Actually, you sound really good tonight.
Good,
Radio, good. Your phone is working great.
Well, that's that great and wonderful Magic Jack, so I guess I'll put out a plug for Magic Jack.
Yeah, it's working.
So it works just fine. So, DB, before I bring the guests on, do you have any news for us tonight?
I only have a tiny little thing that I just found, and I haven't really read it completely yet, but there's a blog by the name of Bigfoot Sightings, which is run by, I can't remember her last name, but I think it's Linda Martin. Am I right?
Okay.
Yeah, it says Linda Martin. And it often has interesting things on it. And today it has... make sure. It was put up yesterday, but I just got a Google alert for it now. It's talking about David Paulides, and whether or not he was endorsing the M.K. Davis theories. Because most of our listeners probably know that Lauren Coleman on Cryptomundo had linked the two together and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And so I just, if I can get to the nugget of this, it would be news.
Right.
But at this moment, all I can see is that he's saying that everybody in the Bigfoot world. I'll just read this out. He says, "The world of Bigfoot is one of the most dysfunctional arenas in any spectrum imaginable. It's a place where many can't work together. Most don't have friends. A majority of research groups are a group of one, and almost all have an ego the size of Texas." So. He's definitely got a few things to say, and that's, he's released 2 books that are really pretty good. Now, I haven't read the second one, but all reports are it's pretty good. And I did read, was it Tribal Bigfoot? Or, no, the Hoopa Project. I was pretty impressed with it. So, he's an emerging voice, but he's a voice that can probably get people's attention. But I haven't really been following this very closely. Maybe you have closer. And
I saw it earlier, but I didn't. I'm kind of like you. I've been pressed for time. Even today, I had work.
Yeah.
Never ends.
Working on Labor Day. There ought to be a law.
No, there should be a law against that, shouldn't it? Oh well.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
According to Linda Martin, as I read down to the bottom, she's having a hard time figuring out which side he comes down on. Based on his blog posting. She says, I found his response to be cryptic beyond belief. So she doesn't know how he's coming out on it. So, to me, there's something of a mystery there. The thing that probably disheartened me the most about M.K. Davis's latest deal was that he got, of the apparent endorsement of some other Bigfooters, like David Paulides. Because, I think Davis's stuff is just nonsense. It's just not. I mean, I think he believes it. I mean, I'm not saying he's being insincere about it, but I just think he's gone too far, following a particular rabbit down a particular hole. Yeah. So if we could just find, I want David Politis to come out and say, I really don't endorse the MK Davis thing, because he's, I really respected what I read in his book, but that stuff is nutty. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So that's our news. Yeah. That took us to 9:05. So that's it.
That's good. I got some short news myself.
Do you?
Actually just had a pretty fun Sunday. I'll put it that way. I see he's in the room. Mike Killen came and paid me a visit Sunday, and we met up at about 12 noon. Went and had some New York style pizza, since him being from Long Island, New York. Decided to let him try some Virginia New York style pizza, and he seemed to like it. He didn't say otherwise, unless he's just not telling me. But anyway, from there we had a pretty long bike ride. We know we clocked on probably over a couple 100 miles on the bike Sunday. We went from Manassas. I took him up through Route 619, so that he could see Prince William Forest Park and Quantico. We made a couple stops there and got some snapshots, pictures, and things. His father was once based there in Quantico, so we stopped there and got some pictures as well. Then we proceeded down Route 1 into Fredericksburg. From Fredericksburg, we jumped on Route 17, head through Culpeper. You know where I'm talking about, DB.
Right.
Kind of went down that way. We didn't have a chance to stop, but it kind of gave him a really good idea of the areas that we're checking out. Proceeded down into Warrenton, jumped on 211, went up to Luray, and got on Skyline Drive. Took him approximately 20 miles up the mountain there. We were probably somewhere around 3,500 feet above sea level. It was about the highest we went up. And then, due to time, we stopped and took some nice photo opportunities, up on the scenic overlooks and things. And then we started back down the mountain, went into Front Royal, Virginia, and that's where we departed. And we didn't depart till about 7 p.m., so it was about a good 7 hours of bike riding. So needless to say, I was very sore, and Mike's probably laughing.
You don't mean a pedal bike, though. You mean a motorcycle, right?
Yeah, definitely a motorcycle.
Because
we didn't do all that pedaling in 7 hours.
All right.
But I felt like it at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But anyway, I had a great time. Mike is he's a great fella. We had a really good time talking about things, in between stops. So I'm sure we'll do it again one day. But Mike, thanks for the good time Sunday. I see you in the chat room. I appreciate it, and I'll get those pictures to you probably later on this evening. So we'll send you the pictures. Anyway. Without further ado, let's welcome on our guest. And then, of course, we have a surprise guest along with him. But first, we will introduce Mr. Hawk Spearman. How you doing tonight, Hawk?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good, Billy. How about you? How about you, DB?
Great. Thank you.
We're all doing great. Glad to have you on the show. And then, of course, you brought along with you Luke. How you doing tonight, Luke?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good tonight. How's everybody there doing?
Good. Doing good here.
Good.
So, Hawk, we'll start off with you. We've got approximately 46 people in the chat room right now. A few of these folks are probably, well, of course we have our normals, but we also have, I bet everybody's getting a kick out of that, DB. I call them normals. Anybody that's listened to a Bigfoot radio show, they're usually coined as nuts or something,
Yep.
But what I meant was we do have, a few people that have just been listening over the recent week. So we'll allow you, Hawk, to kind of introduce yourself, tell everybody what you do, how long you've been doing this, and that kind of thing, if you want to go ahead and start out.
All righty. Well, like you said, I'm Hawk Spearman, and my wife had got me into cryptozoology about almost 11 years ago now, after she had a sighting, and told me about it, and I thought she'd done flipped her lid. And then I had found footprints and got in touch with some people out of Ohio, Don Keating and Mark D. Worth. And I'm going to make a real long story short. They come up and checked out the area and said there were footprints. A few weeks later, I went back up there to the area. It was called Woodbury, right on the back side of our property. We lived off County Road 6. And on the back side of our property there, I went up there because I'm an avid deer hunter. I went up there to the area, and lo and behold, I had an encounter of a creature just about 50 foot in front of me. It was holding a rock, looked like a large, giant cousin it, with light-colored eyes. The hair on its body was longer than the hair on its head. And it was real interesting. When it screamed, I screamed. It ran one way, and I ran the other. Ever since then, I've been real interested in Bigfoot research.
All right, very good. Now, how about you, Luke? Tell us a little bit about what got you into this and, what you're doing.
Yeah, mine goes back about good 48 years, 49 years, I would say, since memory serves me. In other words, as I was growing up, probably around 5 years old, my father and mother both always talked about Bigfoot. I mean, anything that was on TV they watched, any kind of books my father could get, any stories out of magazines, and he always talked about it, basically like I do now. And that's what really got me interested. And always wanted to go out and, do something about it. And, of course, life kicks you in the butt and you can't do it. But I had seen the Minnesota Iceman, which I know a lot of people say it isn't real. Well, I was a novice taxidermist for most of my life, and I seen it back around early 70s. I don't remember exactly what year it was. Me and a friend of mine seen it in a town called Huntington in Long Island. It was in a mall, and I went in and seen it twice, and I never even thought of Bigfoot. I was like, this can't be a Bigfoot. It doesn't look like what they say they do. But I could see the fingerprints in this thing's toes through the ice, and blood coming out of its nostril. A lot of it I don't remember what it looked like, but those two things I remember, and plus the hair coming out of its skin on its leg, which, if I had to bet on it, I'd bet everything I have that what I seen was real. I mean, it didn't look like something that was put together, a piece of rubber.
Right. I went to a lot of fairs back when I was younger, and I remembered the stories of Minnesota Iceman, but I can't recall that I ever saw it. And I know they used to travel around sometimes and put it in fairs, in the shows and things, but I don't recall ever seeing it. I wish I would have back when I was younger.
I'll tell you what, I was so convinced this thing was real and some kind of unique species that we wanted to steal it. And that's no lie. If I would have had a pickup truck at that time with a hitch on it, this guy had a freezer that he put it in and left it there overnight one time. And we just couldn't put anything together to get somebody there with us to help us, but we would have took it, I'll tell you right now. That's how sure I was it was something real.
Yeah, I'm sure it was quite impressive.
Knowing what I know now, I wish I would have done it. If I could relive it, I would have took it, just so I know. But then I guess around 2001, I discovered the Internet and just started going on websites and stuff, looking up things, and I come across the thing that said, come listen to us live on Pal Talk. So I was like, what the heck is this? I had no idea. I mean, I could barely turn the computer on.
Right.
And that's what I did. I started meeting a lot of people and talking, over the years. And then back 2003, I had gotten from some people I met down in South Texas. I had gone to their house about 3 times in about 2.5 months. And one day, as I was getting ready to leave, well, first of all, when I first got there, they were telling me there was a couple of sheds out there, like an old chicken coop and stuff, which wasn't on their property. It was on the adjoining property, which they were trying to lease, but they never did get it at the time. And I had gone over there, and I didn't go to the shed that they always talked about something was messing around with. They were claiming these creatures would come there and rip the tin off the roof and, just beat it up. I went to this little small shed, which was probably, if memory serves me right, maybe 4 foot deep, 8 foot high, regular studs, I guess it was. Just a plywood little shed. It was maybe about 5 or 6 feet wide, very tiny. I don't know what it was for, maybe grain or something they put in there, bags or something at one time, I don't know. So the reason I went to that shed first was because the opening to the door, which there was no door on it anymore, it was just an opening, and it was plywood on the sides. I was like, if a creature was to walk in there, being curious, he's got to rub against this door opening.
Right.
And it's old, so, it's splintery. I go over there. Here you go. I'm looking down the edges of it. About 1.5 feet, 2 foot high, I find hair. And you can see it was ripped out by the roots. So I collect some of the hair, put it in a little baggie and stuff, and I go inside and I tell the woman in the house, where I found this hair. I said, I don't know what it is. It's so short. Doesn't really look like anything to me, but who knows? And there's no animals in this fenced-off area. There was cows and stuff in there at one time, but years ago, I guess they had chickens there or whatever. But I'm like, this hair looks, you can see the roots on it. I mean, it just didn't look like it was old the way it was sitting there. Didn't look really dried up. So, turns out, then I was there 3 times. That was the first time, which took about 8 minutes of my time. Mm-hmm. I got there, I woke up in the morning, walked outside, went right to the shed and found this hair. It was that easy.
Wow.
And I left some hair on there for the woman to see where I got it from, and then she came out and we collected both, the rest of it. And it was quite a bit of hair. So I go there another time, nothing happens. The last time I go there, before I left, now I have a back injury and it's a fairly serious one. They got to put rods in it and take 3 discs out and fuse it and everything else. And if I move wrong, I end up where I can't walk.
Right.
So the day before I left, that happens to me. So now it's 107 degrees out every day. It's in the hundreds. Before I leave, I want to get a panoramic view of this property. I walk outside and I come between these sheds. And in this fieldy area, which has some trees and stuff and mesquite and all growing, as I'm videotaping, I see something next to a tree, maybe about 6-8 feet from a tree. And I'm like, what the heck is that? And I zoom in on it. I'm looking through a camcorder that has one of them real tiny little scopes you look through. I mean, you could barely see anything. It doesn't look like anything, and it's only about maybe 60 yards away. I'm looking at it with my with my naked eye, and I'm like, what the hell is it? It's a dark figure. It's got to be a tree stump. The heck with it. I'm not going to waste my time walking over there because I'm hurting, and it's hot as could be. And the grass is maybe about 8-10 inches high in this area. So I continue on my way back around the sheds and back to the house, and that was it. About a month or so later, one of the women that was on, in fact, she does one of these blog talk shows. Her name was Lori. Mm-hmm. She gets on Pal Talk and says she has a picture that looks like a female squatch sitting down, or a squatch, I should say, sitting down with a baby. And it's in this area. So I was like, huh. So I popped the tape into the TV. This is the first time I'm looking at this since I came home.
Right.
So I'm like, I got a video of that whole area, basically. Hopefully I have the area that this picture came from and see if it's a bush or something, or there's something there.
Right.
Possibly. So I pop it in there, and that's when I look at my video in a way that I never looked at it before, because I never looked at it on the TV.
Right.
And I'm looking at this thing, I'm like, oh my God, I don't believe what I'm seeing. This could possibly be something.
Right.
So, I told a few people about it on Blog Talk and so on and so forth. And then Mysterious Encounters was out at that time. Mm-hmm. They were contacted, I don't even know how that happened, but they wanted us to come on the show. So I went back down to Texas, and we did, an interview and, showed the video and so on and so forth. In fact, Autumn Williams has that video on her site.
Right.
I guess about a year or so now. She sent me an email. She says, I don't care what they say, because it came back as mistaken identity. It was a tree stump. Well, I'll tell you right now, it's not a tree stump. In fact, I had M.K. Davis do some work on it. He didn't spend much time on it, but he did some work on it where he took it, and I forget what it's called, but it flips back and forth, like, because I had the people down there give me a picture of the same spot, all right, which they didn't get for like 2.5 months afterwards, but of the same spot with a regular camera, and there's nothing there. And there was no tree stump there where it was dug out of the ground or anything like that.
Right.
So M.K. Davis did this thing where it shows you the picture with the figure there and a picture with the new picture, and it flips back and forth over each other. Right. I'll tell you right now, all I can tell you is I believe that's what it was.
Cool deal.
Because I took the picture. I mean, whenever you see somebody's video, it's it's junk. It's always out of focus. And let me tell you what happened to me. I had this camera for a few years. I never cleaned it.
Right.
The next time I used the camera after I was down there in Texas and took this video, and this is why it came out so lousy. Otherwise, it would have been crystal clear, this video.
Right.
It was so dirty, it wouldn't even accept the tapes. It would kick them back out. I couldn't get it to even work. So I cleaned it with alcohol. And what really burnt me up was I had a brand new cleaning tape. I never used it. And when I cleaned it, it worked beautiful after that. If I would have had it that way, I would have had if that's what it was in the field, I would have had the greatest picture ever taken.
Wow.
That guy Highcheck, whatever, I don't know his first name, he's the one who analyzed it. And
Doug Highcheck?
Yeah, Doug Highcheck. The one thing I do know when they analyze a video is to see fraud,
Right.
And, of course, he couldn't come up with that because it wasn't fraud. But he says it was a tree stump. But Lloyd Williams sent me an email, I guess about a year ago, maybe it was a year and a half ago, could even be longer, saying that she's sure that, first of all, that I'm telling the truth and that there's something there, from what they've been looking at. And she got into a big argument with them, supposedly, over it, because they were saying it was a tree stump, and other people analyze it saying, no way, it's not a tree stump, but what is it,
Right.
It's definitely not a man out there, and sure as hell ain't a bear. And if you ever look at it, it looks like it's holding, now this is a far stretch maybe, but that's what it looks like to me. It looks like it's holding a bone.
Right. Now, does Autumn still have it on her website, did you say?
Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
If you don't join her site, if you don't pay for it, you can't get stuff, the videos, but you can see a clipping of it. Not a still of it.
Right.
All right. Yeah, if you go to her site and you look under, I guess it's new videos or whatever, it's under, and you look for Lugo Raimondo.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and you'll see it there.
All right, cool. Thanks for sharing that. Before we go on real quick, let me, I'm not sure if this person's just calling in to listen or if they're calling to ask a question or what. Caller from 318 area code, you're on the air. Who do we have at 318? Hello? 318, you're on the air. All right, well, I'll just put them back on mute. I'm not sure. They might just be listening in.
Yeah, let me just say this. I mean, when I talk about this, I get so excited I forget where I'm at. Because I know what I seen, or what I think I seen, I should say, and I know the video I took, and I know. I mean, when you see someone else, you say, "Oh, yeah, right." When you do it yourself, you know it's there. But the hair. When we were at the conference, in fact, it was Craig Woolheater's conference where Mysterious Encounters came to. The hair was submitted by the woman who lived in the house. What I did was I let her submit it because I had the video, so I was like, I let her submit the hair, and which I kind of got pissed off at later on after they didn't even mention that I was the one that found it. Right. That hair came back from Farabach as genuine Sasquatch hair, unknown primate.
Right. Cool deal.
Yeah.
Cool.
And ever since then, I've been traveling back and forth, usually to Texas, as much as I can, and going out. And I seen 2 Octobers ago, but it was completely dark out. I have Gen 3 night vision, but I didn't have the IR illuminator with me that night.
Right.
And I could see the three figures just standing there, but I couldn't tell you, what they were. All I could tell you is I seen light, difference in light between the arms. They were bowed out.
Right.
And we had wood knocks and everything just prior to that. In fact, we had a wood knock that would rattle your cage. I mean, it was just a single hit that was so loud that you could actually feel it on you.
Wow.
It was shortly after that is when I seen these three things.
Wow.
Yeah, that was pretty wild.
All right, let me get with poor old DB. I'm sorry, DB. You've probably been collecting questions, haven't you? Is he on mute, DB?
Yes, I was.
There he is.
And you know how my deal is working here lately. This thing could cut out at any second. I have not collected a lot of questions. I've gone back actually to see how many I've missed. But I see one scrolling up right now. This Sasquatch Triangle asks, does he have the written report saying it is a genuine Sasquatch hair?
No, I don't. I believe the woman who submitted it does, but I couldn't even say that. But all I can tell you is it was on Mysterious Encounters with him saying it.
Oh, okay.
Which was on OLN at the time. Right. It was under the one of the Caddo creature, I believe it was, because it was Caddo Lake was nearby, and that's that show that's what it was called.
That's the same one you were on, Luke, that I seen you on with Autumn and them. Yeah, that was the Caddo Lake creature.
Yeah, Caddo Lake.
Cool. Any more questions, DB? Was that it?
Well, another one has just come up. Rami asks, to both of the guests, what was your scariest Bigfoot experience?
I can answer that. I didn't have one yet. That was scary.
Okay.
The only thing that ever scared me was some of the people I was with.
That's what I would say.
But otherwise,
same
no.
for you, Hawk. Just the people.
Yeah. You go out and you meet people who say that they've had encounters and things, and all researchers do this. They take it, 50-50 whether they had it or whether they didn't. And when they go out there to check it out, they don't know what they're going into. And like we went to one area here in Alabama where they had what they called the shining thing, which was a white creature that they described. Excuse me. And it was an African American area. It's a fishing lake for the African Americans in general. And they were out there. All the black people out there would say, we had a white thing come out here, and it scared the living daylights out of us, scared the dickens out of us. This thing come down through here taking our fish and stuff. Well, we had a Bigfoot barbecue, and a lot of people pick on us about that, but we had like a meet and greet type thing when we was running another research group here in Alabama. And we met some other researchers by the name of Terry Walker and Terry Walker Jr. And we went out there with them. They took us to this area where the white thing was because they knew where it was. We're all out there. We get back there, and they're telling me, they're like, yeah, drug dealers been out here killing people before. And it started going through my mind, oh, this is lovely. This is just great. Drug dealers out here killing people. That's great. And they started talking about, how hunters have been killed out there in this area by these supposed drug dealers and stuff, and how this area had been closed off for a while by the police because of the murders in this area. Well, I got to wondering then, because this was really the second time I'd ever seen these people, and I'm thinking to myself, well, I got to make sure to, from now on, to meet individuals in a public place, get their input, meet them in a public place 2 or 3 more times before we're going further into the area that they're talking about, because who knows, you go out there to do research, somebody may be some psychotic or something, go out there and decide to kill you.
All right.
So, that's the only thing that makes me nervous when going out doing research.
Right. Yeah, it's the same with us. I mean, I worry more about the people you might run into out there than anything. I mean, me and DB can tell you from experience. It's easy to be walking around out there and run right into someone out there growing pot, someone making meth, or whatever. That's what you have to worry about. We've had a rifle pointed right at us.
Yeah.
That's when I decided, okay, I'm gonna start carrying. So,
yeah.
Yes, dang. I mean, you wouldn't think. I mean, the bad part is this was a wildlife management area. It wasn't like somebody's private property. I mean, these people they have no problem going out on public property and just doing this stuff.
I'll tell you what.
Too, you go out there and you're out doing research in an area at night. All of a sudden, somebody starts popping shots at you. You don't know what's going on.
I'll tell you what happened to me here in Long Island a few years back. On Thanksgiving morning, I was out deer hunting, archery, and I find a dead guy with his pants pulled down to his ankles, and so I mean that was something to degrade him in death. You know what I'm saying? So it's probably something to do with drugs or whatever. And I was like, the heck with this. From now on, even when I go archery hunting, I carry a handgun. I don't care what the law says, because what happens if you're there when somebody's getting dropped off? They're coming after you.
Yeah. That's the only thing I worry about. Bears and all that stuff. Most of the time when you run into a bear or see a bear, they run off. I mean, it's only a rare occasion you get between them and a cub or between them and their food or something like that you'll have any kind of issues. But of course, I know that's a little different in Pacific Northwest and Canada. With the grizzly bear, it's not quite the same.
Yep.
But it's I'm not worried about the animals.
No.
I'm worried about those other two-legged animals.
Yeah, I hear you.
Any more questions, DB, from the chat room?
Yeah. Bill Green asks, "Hey Hawk, are you investigating any recent sightings or footprints?"
Yes, I am, Bill. I most definitely am. Matter of fact, next month, Luke on the phone here and Bate from Long Island are going to come. We're going to hook up, and we're going to hit a couple of areas out here in Alabama and then Tennessee. Here in Alabama, we got a few things. There's different type of monsters or creatures that's been spotted, unlike up north in that Pacific Northwest where you got your common ones. Down here, I wasn't aware of this until a few weeks ago. There's supposed to be the dog-faced squatches down here. And we've had a few reports of dog-faced squatches in South Alabama. We had some cat-like squatches that were supposed to have been reported up in northwest Alabama. And then there's an area that we've been doing some research in where some vocalizations have come from. We haven't collected any footprints there yet, but we have got some audio from there, and we're waiting for the audios to come back, whether they're identified as unknown or unknown animal. Who knows yet? We're waiting. We got two of them at a zoologist, and two of them at a primatologist, and then a primate research center. This way we can get three different opinions of it as to what they believe it is.
Right.
And hopefully, it'll come back to where they say, this is something. We can't tell what it is, but here it is. You got us interested. I was with Cliff in an area just this past February.
Right.
We recorded some really good audio. I mean, we got the best audio I'd heard in a long time. Luke heard it, he's like, oh, man, that's got to be something. So, we played this audio. We played it to a zoologist here in Alabama. He said that it was chimp but gibbon-like.
Right.
He couldn't identify the exact vocalizations, and he was unsure. Research center out of Louisiana said, well, there's a laughing hyena. So the laughing hyena. I said, get out of here, man. There ain't even a hyena in the Birmingham Zoo. What are you talking about? I said, come on now. Well, this is what this researcher says. This volunteer associate says that this is a laughing hyena. I said, well, yeah, I think they need to go back to school and learn a few things. They're at a primate research center, and they're saying this laughing hyena. But that was their opinions, and all opinions are valuable, whether it's or not. There's never going to be a correct opinion on the vocalizations because we don't know. All we can say is it's unknown and have it tested. If it comes back known, great. If it comes back known, that's great too. At least we know exactly what it is we're dealing with then. Right. But there's about 6, 7 reports, Luke?
Yeah.
That we got one for in an area that I just talked to the deputy sheriff. And I'm going to go meet the guy. I was there today serving papers. I do bounty hunting and private investigations. And I was there serving papers in an area, trying to think of the name, Cedar Bluff. It lives out close to Cedar Bluff area in Alabama, which is extreme northeast. It's right on the Georgia border, where he had been hearing multiple sounds, and he has seen something in an area, predominantly black community, with a white creature out there who had killed and mauled some dogs, and we're supposed to get the photos as soon as we meet with him of the animals that were mutilated to his, what he said. Him and another officer physically chased this creature in this area, I guess, maybe 100, 150 yards, and said that they couldn't catch it. He said he stood about 6'2" and it was taller than him.
Wow. And
they would get these phone calls once a month, same night, well, different nights, but once a month, be 3 times a night. Just in that one night period from people in the area saying, hey, this thing's out here killing our animals. This thing's out here digging through our trash and stuff. Y'all need to come get it. And he got in touch with us through a mutual friend, and it's great because we're going to be right out in that area checking it out here in a few weeks.
Right. Very cool. Very cool. Any more questions there, D? You know what? Before you ask the next question, DB, let me go ahead and put this out there, folks. Anybody out there who wants to call in and ask either Luke or Hawk a question, the call-in number is 347-237-5070. Again, that number is 347-237-5070. All right, DB, the floor is yours.
Well, let's see. Am I still turned on?
Yep,
yes, I'm on, right?
Who turned you on?
Oh, come on. I meant, was I on mute? All right, Rummy asks, what is the stupidest thing you have seen while hunting?
The Scorty. I'm sorry.
They're looking
yeah, that's a good one. I got one even dumber, but I can't talk about it.
I apologize.
Yeah, that was a good one, though. That covers it.
All right, I guess they covered that question.
I'm trying to remember this last little. Remember that I said County Road 6. Maybe I'll just ask this one now. Stop! I need to turn the scroll thing off. Okay, Sasquatch Triangle asks, how many times did Hawk spot a Bigfoot while he lived on County Road 6 in Coshocton County, Ohio?
Yeah, I believe it was twice. When I had my initial sighting there, what happened, when I went up there to the area, the woods, the grass was high enough for me to look over, and I could see up on the hillside, and I seen what looked to be like 2 individuals facing and talking to each other. So I really don't know if that was individuals or if it was something other than that. Maybe it might have been 2 people out there looking to hunt or whatever, with it being a hunting area in that spot. When I turned to the left, because I thought, well, there's 2 hunters up there. Maybe I need to go on and get out of here because they might be looking for a spot to hunt in this area. So I turned and I left. I went to my left. I went through some brush that kind of overhung with each other, made like a little ease right there. Then come to the other side, I've physically seen that one creature. So honestly, I can say I've seen one creature. I don't know if the other 2 individuals were a creature or if there was somebody actually standing up there.
Right. All right.
We got one more here. This comes from Kite Squatch. He says anything in the southeast part of Alabama, especially Ozark or the Fort Rucker Army Base.
Yep, there's sightings up in that area all the time. There's multiple sightings up in there. That's right over there, close to where I was today, which would be right over there by Cedar Bluff and on up through up in the DeKalb. There's Cherokee and Cedar Bluff. Cherokee Cedar Bluff is in Cherokee, and right there at the extreme northeast Alabama would be DeKalb, which is the area he's talking about. That's right on the Tennessee-Georgia border. There have been multiple sightings right out in that area.
Cool. There you go, Kite. Yeah, Kite. I think Kite used to live down there. So.
Especially right there at the military base. There's been a lot of reports there in the past. I've got a bunch of them that I've never had an opportunity to put on the site. We're talking about moving the site from one location to GeoCities. That way we can update and put new stuff on there.
Right. All right. Any more questions, DB, or was that pretty much it?
I think that's it.
All right. We covered all the questions. That's good. All right. If you folks, Luke and Hawk, can y'all hold on? And what we're going to do is give everybody a quick breather and take a commercial break. Can y'all hold on?
All righty.
All right. So, DB, if you get any more questions, you can collect those, and then I'm going to get my list of questions together and start asking Hawk and Luke when we get back. So, everybody stay tuned, and we'll be back after this commercial break.
Sasquatch Watch Radio. Stay tuned.
Paranormal Talk Radio, bi-monthly, Wednesday nights, 8 to 9 p.m. Central. Paranormal Talk Radio divas Melissa Hovey and Monica Rollins, never afraid to tell it like it is. Too hot for prime time. 60 minutes of take no grab you by the balls. Paranormal Talk Radio. 8 to 9 p.m. Central, every other Wednesday night on Blog Talk Radio. Paranormal Talk Radio with an attitude.
Alrighty, folks, we're back, and since we've come back, we've had another caller come on the line here. So let me see if I can get this caller on the line, see who we got. It's actually another caller from the same area code as you, Hawk. Caller from the 205 area code. You're on the air.
Hey.
Yeah,
Hello?
that would be my daughter.
Oh, okay. You just tuning into the show?
Yep.
Yes, I heard my dad on there, and I was like, I've got to call.
How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. This is like the first time I heard my dad on here, so it's like really awesome.
You got a question for your dad? This ought to be good.
Yeah, don't be mad at me. I just wanted to call.
Okay.
Don't kill me, please.
Okay.
Yep.
Go ahead. You got a question?
Oh, no, I just wanted to listen because I think it's pretty cool.
Oh, okay. We'll leave you on the line so you can keep tuning in.
Okay.
All right. Let's see here real quick. DB, did you collect any more questions before I go into my line of questions?
I did not.
Okay. All right. Here we go, guys. Got my typical line of questioning here. A lot of people like to hear what each researcher's theories are on the different, typical topics that we hear about Bigfoot or Sasquatch or whatever we want to call him. So my first question to you, Hawk, is what is your theory as to where these things live? Where do they go that we're not seeing them on pretty much on a daily basis during the daytime in particular?
Well, I don't believe that they have, a migration period, where they travel from state to state. I don't think that. I do believe that there may be some kind of underground system where they go into the cave theories, go below ground from sight. This way they have, with the caves, you have more of a controlled environment with the climate there. It stays a one temperature degree in there. Let's say 65, 70, maybe 85 degrees in some caves where they can stay and be cool during the hotter days, which keeps them from being seen more likely than out in public, on the campgrounds or out in the woodlines or wherever the case may be in an area where you've just built a new home. There may be something back in that area where they can get to and hide up under a rock hang, a cliff, or a cave entrance.
Okay. What do you think, Luke?
My opinion is on a daily basis is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, what I think is anybody who knows anything about white-tailed deer and has hunted them half as much as what I do. Up until the last 3 years, I used to go almost every day of the hunting season for 3 months. And I know how white-tailed deer think. There's no question about it. I can find them. I don't care where it is. And what they do is they lay down in the thickest, thorniest, raunchiest areas that you could possibly think of that you wouldn't walk through while you're out there. That's one thing. Plus, they probably have senses that are better than most animals, coupled along with some intelligence. And if you were to walk in the woods, they smell you, see you, whatever it may be. They stay ahead of you. And they just keep doing that. And that's just what most animals would do.
Right. Okay.
That's what I think. If you find an area where you find tracks and stuff like that during the day, if there's briar patches and things like that, I think that's where you should be.
Okay. All right. Any questions, DB, before I go on?
Well, the only question I see refers back to what Hawk said. Sharon Lee was asking, how does Hawk know this?
I don't. This is just an opinion. A lot of people share their opinions. Me, preferably, with Alabama, the way the terrains are, there's a lot of rocks and a lot of overhangs and cliffs and things where a lot of the wildlife get into, like the bobcats, the coyote, and the cougar out here. They'll get into these areas to cool and stay cool and protect themselves because they can see pretty much everything that's coming around them. So, I'm guessing, this is just primarily my only opinion, if that's the way the animals do around here, then possibly a Sasquatch could do the same thing.
Yeah, let me just jump in a second. There's no question. If you're in an area that has tiny little caves where things could scurry into and, like I said, overhangs and stuff like that, they're going to utilize them, I think. There's no question.
Right. Okay. All right. Another thing that we hear about a lot in this field, of course, are stick structures, tree formations, nests, and that type of thing. Hawk, what is your opinion on these items, do you think they're just natural occurrences and people are misidentifying what they're really seeing there, and they're just seeing some limbs falling down off the trees, or do you think that Sasquatch may actually construct these things?
That we were just talking about that the other night ourselves. If a person can do it, I don't see why a Squatch would do it. Now, if you find something that makes you scratch your head and say, why would a person do this? It's possible a Squatch may have done it, but that's primarily my opinion. Although 99% of the time, you have a lot of wind damage, a lot of natural disasters with tornadoes or hurricanes or ice storms or snowstorms, whatever the case may be. It could be natural rot from the tree itself to where they fall and crisscross over. There's been two things I've seen, honestly, that I could sit there and say, if I can't do this and another guy with me can't do this, then how did it get this way?
Right.
And
yeah, I agree with you, Hawk. Actually, I've actually seen, and we've talked about this on other shows, I've actually seen where vines will grow around trees and actually give the tree a twist appearance.
Right, exactly.
Where the vines are actually died off and you don't really see any trace of the vines except you see it in other areas.
Right. So, I guess, I say 99%. I'd say about 95% of the people who go out and look, they don't exactly know what they're looking at or looking for. They're not like the normal Bigfooter who goes out there and they try to analyze everything.
Right.
They're just people who go out and go hiking, or they go out and they go camping on the weekends or whatever. If you get somebody like that, they may be able to identify it, but if it's somebody who's lived in the city all their life, who's just primarily goes out in the woods every once in a while, they're not going to have a clue.
Right. Yeah, I tell you, someone who, Diane Stocking actually shared with me a bunch of photos, actually, and she showed it at Don's conference up there in Salt Fork. A lot of weather phenomena stuff that was quite impressive. So, the weather, a lot of people don't realize that, weather can do some strange things. It can hit one little spot and just
and leave the whole area untouched.
Yeah. So it's pretty amazing. So I'm sure there's a lot of it that's naturally explained. I have found a few things that that has completely baffled my mind, and that's the things that I actually have on the website. I can't explain how they got that way, and some of them are quite elaborate. So and those are the types that either someone or something done it.
Right.
Well, no doubt about it.
Here's a perfect example. Here in Alabama, I found a tree that was split right down the middle, standing out in the middle of a creek bank on a sandbar by itself. It was just a simple branch, split right down the middle like somebody pulled it apart like a banana.
Right.
I said, well, now, why would somebody do that?
Right.
There's no reason for somebody to do that. Right. Not that they couldn't have, but I have no reason for that. And Luke and I were in Paris, Texas in 2007, and Luke said, hey, Hawk, come here and check this out. I said, what's that? We found a turtle shell. I don't know if Luke remembers it or not.
Yeah, I remember.
Shell sitting on top of he found it. A little turtle shell sitting on top of a dead tree. What was that, Luke? Twig, wasn't it?
It was a little sapling there with a shell just stuck onto the top of it. Yeah.
So we knew that was not from natural wind or anything like that. But now we had to explain why somebody would have done it.
Right.
Other than marking an area for hunting, which that was state property over there, there'd been no explanation for it.
I honestly believe most stuff that people see is just natural occurrences. Back in 2001, when I first got into this with the internet, and there was so much talk on these things as far as stick formations, the twists, and tree bows, And I'll tell you what, the next day, after listening to this stuff for a couple of months, I was like, I got to go out in the woods and see something. I went to one of my hunting spots, and within 15 minutes, I found probably 25 tree bows that I can't explain, and I know it's not Squatch related.
Right.
I'm positive it isn't. And I found tree twists up 12 feet high, that 2-inch piece of limb coming out, just twisted around, and I mean twisted, right outside an area of population and there's just nothing there. There's hardly any of the woods or anything. I mean, I don't know. I think most of it's just misidentified. It's just, people start hearing about this stuff, and every time they walk out in the woods, I go out in any woods in this country. I'm sure you can, and everybody talking in this room can, and find 20, 30 things in the woods. But I do believe there are real ones.
Right. Oh, yeah. I think so, too. DB, any more questions?
We do have a couple more. Sharon Lee asked, has Hawk ever heard the tongue-clucking sound, or does he have any audio recordings he might talk about?
Tongue-clucking. That's interesting because Jeff Smith and myself went to another area in Springville, Alabama, close to where we went to with the other two researchers I talked about earlier that talked about drug dealers. We were in this area. I don't know if it was teeth chattering. I don't know if it was finger snapping, but we could hear something on the other side of the creek bank, which sounded like it was snapping his fingers. And I looked at him, I said, Jeff, do you hear that? He said, yeah. He said, how can I not hear it? I stood there for a minute. I said, it sounds almost like something snapping his teeth. He said, yeah. Or snapping his fingers, Hawk. I said, you're right. I said, that's what it sounds more like that than snapping his teeth. So it's very possible that could have been. Now, we do have audio on our website, which people can go and listen to and see if they've heard the same thing. Some of it on there, some things have been debunked, such as the yelp cry type sound. It's a gray fox. A gray fox will make that sound. But there's one or two audios in particular that's really, really interesting to listen to. And the last one's the best one to listen to them of all. That's the one that we had tested from one of Cliff's areas. And there's, Luke, 4 or 5 audios on there that's been remain unknown so far?
Yeah, it's been so long, I'm not even sure.
I believe there's 4 or 5 that's still remains unknown at this point, where other individuals have said we can't identify it. It's interesting. It's the audio quality's not that good, but we hear the vocalizations and we don't exactly know what it is. As for the sounds that Jeff Smith and myself had heard, unfortunately, I didn't have a digital recorder at that time.
Right.
And we were out in this area not really expecting anything, which pretty much is the way it happens all the time. You go out in an area, you don't expect nothing, that's when something happens.
Right.
So, unfortunately, I don't have that sound file. But I do have some others that are on there that's really interesting.
Right. All right, DB.
I do have a couple more. Let's see. Rummy asks 2 questions. First one is, do you think that a Bigfoot group will have a sentry to watch visitors in their area?
Yes.
Oh, without a doubt. If you make sounds, like Luke had said earlier, they know that you're there just from scent, sound, or smell. They're going to be curious and they're going to come out. If you go out and go camping, you don't have to get loud, you don't have to get rowdy, just be your normal self. Something will come. If it's in that area, it will come, whether it be natural wildlife or whether it be a creature. It will come and it will stand and watch you out of simple fact of curiosity.
Well, I got my own theory about that, but I don't know if you just want to hear it.
Yes.
This is, of course, just my theory, my opinion. Maybe off the wall, but it's not really. But if you, let's say for argument's sake, yourself and your family decided to live in the woods, just like primitives, and you hear something coming or you smell something coming, what have you, there's 2 things you could do. You could either pick up and flee the area and go into unknown area territory because you don't know where you're going, really, or you send somebody over to check out who it is. Because if you could eyeball the people walking into the woods, you know whether or not they're coming over to your area to harm your family. You know, so you're just keeping an eye on them to see what's going on. That's just what I think it is. They send one or two of these things out just to keep an eye on what's going on with this noise, you know. And, well, of course, I'm sure they could identify us just by the smell. So they just keep an eye on us. As long as we don't get too close to their pod stays still and doesn't move, because there's no sense in moving, or else you have to, because you can run into trouble if you move and run into someone else. That's just what I think.
Okay. All right.
There's another couple. Yeah, Rummy had a second question, and then there's a new one that just popped up. Rummy's second question is, what advice would you give to a new Bigfoot researcher?
Watch who you trust. That's number one. I mean, I've been taken pretty bad over the years. I'll tell you a little story about that. I went to Michigan, bought a plane ticket, rented a car, went to this guy's house who swore to God to me this stuff was going on. And I walked this guy's property, and in 15 minutes I called my wife up and said, I just been taken. How do you know? I said, I just know it. I can't explain it. All I can tell you is there's nothing here. I don't care what they say. And I guess it was by about the fourth day, I had to run out to the store. I come back, and this guy claims that one of these things ran across his garden. All right. Now, I'm saying he's full of baloney anyway. But I go out and look. Look at the footprints. Now, there were footprints going across. And they were, I got to say, it really looked like Squatch prints, but it was prints. It was barefooted prints running across this dirt in this garden. And I went and casted it, full well knowing this wasn't a Squatch print, but it had a very odd shape to the feet. And I walk inside this guy's house, and I says, now there's one thing you got to do. What's that? I says, take off your shoes, you and your wife. He's like, what? I said, you heard me. Take off your shoes now. The guy goes, well, you know, I don't know what to say. I didn't want you to think there was nothing here, you know, and you traveled all this way. I said, that has nothing to do with it. I'll travel anywhere if I believe you.
Right.
I says, but don't scam me.
Right.
He's like, well, I figured I'd just make it exciting for you. No, you don't do that, you know. And it was his feet. It was his feet.
Yep. He probably had nice dirty feet.
He had the oddest shaped foot. If you'd seen this in the woods, you'd swear it was some kind of creature. Yeah, but I got taken pretty good. That was $1,000 take right there.
Oh, yeah.
Well, like Luke said, you know, watch yourself. And the other thing is, if you can get your family involved, you know, it's great because my wife gets into it with me. My stepdaughter gets into it with me. My daughter that called in, I'm going to try and get her into it with us. This way we can go as a family and enjoy it ourselves. Not like where you go out with the guys and you spend time out with the guys. You know, you got certain nights for that. But when you can take your family out and you're keeping your children safe and you know where they are and they're enjoying themselves as much as you're enjoying yourself, then that's all much better. I'm not suggesting for anybody to take out small children because I know a few people who have, and them children have gotten hurt by campfires or they've fallen down and broke bones or whatever. But, you know, children of age that are sensible enough to know what not to do and what to do so they don't get hurt. And try and save you money some.
I'll tell you another one as far as equipment goes, buy good stuff. I mean, if you buy a video camera, buy one that's good. I mean, test it out in the store. That's what I did before I bought mine. I wound up spending almost $1,400 for a camera after I took that video down in Texas I was telling you about, because I was like, this isn't going to happen again. And I honestly, this is another thing, it's my opinion. When I went to the stores looking for video cameras, I would try them out in the store, I'd pick something outside and zoom in on it and see how clear it was through the viewfinder. I couldn't find a camera that I felt was acceptable until I found this one Sony, but it was, like I said, a $1,400 camera. And and I wasn't even happy with it, but it was better than all the other ones. And that's probably some of the reason why most of these videos come out like garbage. Because people don't have the money or just won't spend the money to buy a good camera. I mean, my next step up was like a $3,000 professional camera, you know.
Right.
And another thing is, if you ever buy night vision, save your money until you buy Gen 3.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Gen 2.
If you can, go Gen 4. I have Gen 3, and the reason I bought that was I was down in Texas with a group of people, and by the end of the night, I actually believed we had Bigfoot around us, but I couldn't see them. And after I thought about it, I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't walk into a woods, stand there, have people do calls and what have you, and start hearing things, and leave there believing I was there with something. I have to know 100% or I'm not happy. Now, like I said, I've seen 3 of these, I believe, possibly, very strongly. In fact, Rummy, that's in the room. How you doing, Rummy? He was with me when this happened. But, of course, he couldn't see nothing because it was that dark. I mean, it was so dark and so much tree cover that I couldn't see this thing without throwing IR light on. That's what a Gen 3.
Oh, Gen 3s are great. One of the fellas in our group has one, and I'm telling you, man, it's like you're out there in the daylight. I can't say enough about Gen 3.
Yeah, he let me borrow his in Texas, and I looked across the water, and I was like, oh, wow. It was just amazing.
It does have its limitations, though. I mean, but I made up a light for it that mounts onto it that I just press the button just for when it's really seriously dark where there's just not enough ambient light to make this thing work right. Because I want to be able to see the hair on its face.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be, what the heck was it? Yeah, it had to be, but who knows, I got to know.
I'll tell you what, if anyone knows anything about these, the one that we use typically, actually, one of the members borrow it from a police friend of his who used to be a sheriff, and he's retired now, and he's got this Gen 3. Well, the one he has is a military grade. I can't remember the name of it, the brand name.
PVS 7.
Yeah, I'm not sure. You could be right, but I'm not sure. But it uses, the interesting part of this thing is you don't have to have the infrared to see with it. It uses any available light whatsoever, no matter if it's from the starlight, moonlight, or whatever. It uses any available light it can to generate the night vision.
Yeah, that's what I have. I have a regular military issue.
Yeah. Oh, man, that thing that's great. It is great.
Well, we work on a shoestring budget down here in Alabama. Me, Luke, my wife, and Bate are the ones who had founded EP&A. And down here in Alabama, we work on a shoestring budget. And we bought a Bushnell. Now, that's another good thing to have. The Bushnell trail cam that's down at Walmart, like $149. You got night vision sensors on it.
Yep.
It's great, man. You take a wonderful picture. It has the moon phases and everything, tells the temperature even. So that's something else for a new person to get into, too, as well.
Yeah. That's right. We've got some of those. We've got 2 of the, they're made by Stealth Cam, and every now and then you can find Stealth putting those things on special, and we got 2 of them. They have still picture capability as well as video mode. And all of it works with the, with infrared at nighttime. And it's the same thing, it tells temperature, the moon phase, and all that. And they're 6 megapixel. I mean, so you get a very good photo, or movie, for that matter.
Yeah, this one does the video as well with the still photos, and I think it's a 6 or 7 megapixel. I'm not for sure. But we just picked it up on a clearance sale at Walmart for like $109.
Oh, yeah.
We got a good deal out of that, and that come with a 2 gig memory card.
That's good. Oh, you can get a lot of info on those 2 gig cards.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, DB, do you have any more questions over there?
I know Romy had 2 questions. Did we answer the second one? Oh, we did.
All right. Let's see. Yeah, we got that one. Okay, Bill Green wanted to know if you had any new photos or film footages to talk about.
Nope.
No, not at this moment. We don't.
Yeah. And Virginia Bigfoot Watcher wants to know if you could tell us what your website address is.
Yeah, it's epna.webs.com. There's no www.
Is it PPNA?
EPNA, like Ethel, Paul, Nectar, Apple. EPNA.
Okay.
That stands for Elusive Primates of North America.
All right.
Okay. And what was the rest of it?
.webs.com. Matter of fact, Karen's in y'all's chat room. She just put it up in the room for them.
Oh, okay, because I just put it up too.
And now I did too. Okay.
Everybody's got it up.
Let's
All
see. Right. Virginia Bigfoot Watcher also wanted to know where Luke was from. Or Luke, I think you might have already told us that, but maybe the Virginia Bigfoot Watcher came in a little late. He wants to know, he or she wants to know where you're from, and they made a guess. Their guess was New Jersey.
Long Island, New York.
Oh, yeah.
Long Island.
At least you didn't yell that he or she guessed New Jersey.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
I thought there might be some hollering.
Hey, you can always jump on that expensive ferry that Mike Killen was telling me about, $11. That's crazy. Or that's a bridge. There's a bridge over there with an $11 toll. I said, good God.
Yeah. They're definitely getting out of hand with them.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
All right, any more questions, DB?
That's the last one I have found.
Okay. All right, we'll get back to my line of questioning then. Let's see. I'll start with Hawk. Hawk, what is your theory on this infrasound? A lot of people talking about, Bigfoot or Sasquatch may be capable of producing infrasound with a deep chest cavity and that kind of thing, which, as a lot of people know, infrasound can affect a lot of things, including, people, the way they feel. You hear people talk about feeling sick, and that kind of thing. Do you think these creatures may be capable of producing infrasound?
It's possible. I've never experienced that. I have had uneasy feelings out in the woods, like somebody's watching me, or feel like somebody's going to jump on me, or I feel I shouldn't be in that area. But the elephants do it. There's the seals do it, and the whales do it. So it's very possible the primates do it. I haven't yet heard of them doing it so far. That was one of the things that they had talked about down at Pat Mays, that on another show they were saying, that these creatures made infrasounds, and they had these equipment down there that would pick up on the infrasounds, and it had been tested on primate apes, and it had been proven to be positive. We never seen that type of equipment.
Right. Well, I know the equipment exists. My understanding is it takes a lot to develop it. We've been talking about developing an infrasound recorder now for quite some time, and we have a fellow who's a member of my group that specializes. He took a lot of sound science stuff, study of seismic and all that kind of stuff in college, so he knows how to develop it. The problem is it's not cheap, just like anything.
Right.
I know it can be done, but again, once you do develop it, I mean, it would take a lot of study, because there's a lot of background noise that's infrasound. A lot of people don't know it, but infrasound is everywhere. I mean, even when you knock on that tree, you would knock, you're producing an infrasound. So you would have to filter out, or know how to filter out, the natural background infrasound to even begin to say, okay, yeah, that's Bigfoot out there. We can't say that, because we're not going to know that, not for some time of study anyway.
Right. Yeah, and I haven't heard about that, but if me, it's possible. I really don't know. Until one's proven to exist, this whole field of research is all theory on this creature.
Yeah.
You got a lot of videos where they say that this is Bigfoot. A lot of videos have Bob squatching. A lot of videos have what might be a man in a costume, and then you got some where some people say, I see 30 Bigfoot in it, and there ain't nothing out there. It's a wide open field.
Yep.
Me personally, if it's scientifically proven, like you were saying with that, cool. I want some of that, but I can't afford it right now. I had to wait until about 30 years down the road.
Yeah, I feel the same way. It's possible, but who knows?
All right. How about, I'll start with you this time, Luke. What do you think it's going to take for science to accept that this creature exists? What's it going to take?
I don't think video will do it, or pictures. I think it's going to take a creature.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's you,
As a creature will be 100%. Here it is, I can't see any other way.
All right.
I agree with that, but I disagree with that. There's been a lot of states, upstate, Washington State, New York, I believe Florida has done it, and I think 2 or 3 other places have done it too, where they've taken just the evidence alone and eyewitness reports and have gone to Congress and said, look, there's something here. There's something to this. They've had the hair samples. They've had the footprints. They had audio recordings and multiple eyewitnesses. If they can do that with just that alone, without a physical body, then hey, that's great. If a body takes to prove the existence, I don't think it's going to be one, because you're not going to be able to determine a male and female different habitats for different creatures. You got your northern creatures, you got your southern creatures, you got your Pacific Northwest creatures, and so forth and so on. But each one of them is going to be different in its own way, where they're going to want more than one individual to prove that they exist. They're going to want to take out a adult, a female, adult male, and then it's going to go down to the children or the squatchlings or the infants, whatever you want to call them. Then it's going to go from the young adult to the older adult, because they're going to see how they age. They're going to see how they progress. And it's going to take more and so on until they kill 200-300 of these creatures to prove whatever they need to be proven.
I think it'll be simpler than that. I think it'll just be one live one or a dead one, whatever, and science will put it on the books. Actually, I think it's on the books already, hidden, but it's there.
All right, well, it sounds like Billy is having a little bit of trouble on his end, but he'll probably be back in just a second or so. But we can keep on going in the direction that we're headed right now. I have been thinking that, a lot of people think that it's really easy to fake a photograph or a movie. But I think if you got a really good up-close shot of a Bigfoot, especially if it was a movie, and, it was doing things and you could hear the sound, you might get a lot of people to believe that. That might not maybe get science to come completely around to it, but you may not necessarily need a body to get some people to start believing in it, just so long as you got something good. I mean, the Patterson-Gimlin film almost does it. It's just a little bit too far away, a little bit too fuzzy.
Right. Well, there's the Gable film, too. The Gable film, if it had the audio to it, would be very interesting. The creature alone in itself is real interesting, and I think a lot of people can agree that that's something there. If it's hoax, then I take my hats off to them. That's the best hoax I've ever seen. I can't say it's real, and I can't say it's hoaxed. But where it leaves the ground on all fours at that split second while it's jumping and stuff, it's real interesting because it shows more of a predator characteristic. I've heard a lot of people say they could see the snout, they could see a tail. One guy even said he seen wires on the inside of his jaws off the internet. How he could see that such grainy film, I have no clue. The only thing I'm curious is how the film kept going. And Luke mentioned that when we first seen it. It's like, well, if the film kept going, man, that's a 16 or 8 millimeter. How did it keep going when the camera was dropped?
And or else you had a trigger lock. That's the only way.
Right.
Yeah, good points.
So we sit there and we're looking at it. I believe that to be more real than the Patterson film. The only reason I believe the Patterson film to be a hoax, Patterson disappeared the day before the filming, and then the morning of the filming. You know, we got this from secondhand from Larry Lund. And we were at one of Don Keating's meetings, and Larry Lund was there, and he was telling us about it. He's like, you know, a lot of people don't know, but Patterson left the day before, was gone all day long, come back that evening, left out that morning by himself, come back and got Gimlin, and said, you know, I've been in this area yesterday on horseback. I'm going, why don't we ride down there today and see what we find? And then supposedly that afternoon they rode down there before they left out that evening. And lo and behold, there's a Patterson creature. But, you know, I've also heard other people, Luke talked about it, with MK a few weeks ago on our show, saying that he had seen a butt crack when the creature fell over, which people have never seen on TV.
Yep, that's for sure.
So, you know, if it's real, you know, that's great. It doesn't look nothing like what people have seen around here. And they're not going to all look identical. They're going to have their own individual looks, just as we do.
Yeah, we do.
Well, I just called in as a guest.
There you go. He's back.
It wouldn't let me call. It wouldn't let me call back in because it said I was already called in.
We're going to grill you.
That's got to be a blog talk thing. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it still shows you as open up there as the host. Yeah, so that's crazy.
That's funny. I'm a host and a guest. How about that?
Yeah.
Multitasking.
That's what
right.
I was fixing to say.
All right, so y'all continue on. I don't know what you were talking about. I just come back on.
Well, we got a question just now. Slam630 wants to know, do they think there are different species, and I'm sure he means different species of Bigfoot running around, like maybe the Florida thing is different from the Pacific Northwest, or however you want to divide them up?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of different reports, and Luke can say this as well. You know, Linda Godfrey mentioned that the dog-faced squatch is having large canine-like paws. Me, preferably, I couldn't see that happening, but that's possible. You know, and then you had the Momo monster that looks different than the other ones, and the skunk ape. There's I don't even know how many different species of them with these things existing. It's just really getting out there trying to identify each and every one, which a lot of people don't have that type of funds.
Right, plus all around the world.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Do you have any more questions, TV, or is that pretty much it?
That's the last of my questions.
Okay. All right.
So it's back to you.
Back to me. All right. Well, we're down to 7 minutes, so if anyone wants has any last-minute questions, don't hesitate to get them in since we've only got a few more minutes. Or if you want to call in, you can call 347-237-5070. Again, it's 347-237-5070. So call in if you get a chance, or just punch it into the chat room there, and DB will get to it. I think we already had discussed the last thing we discussed was the infrasound, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
You know what I wish they would talk about, Billy, would be about the eye shine business.
Yes. Yeah. What do y'all think about the eye shine? Do you think it's actual illuminating type eye shine, that's projecting type eye shine, or do you think it's more of a reflect?
I would say it's a reflection, but there are people that talk that there's no light around anywhere, and these things produce light from their eyes. I don't know. It's a crazy one.
Yeah, I had to agree with Luke. You know, I believe it has to be some kind of, whether it's the catcher of moonlight or something. It's really hard to say. I've never seen eye shine except, you know, through a night vision scope or something. And when a flashlight hit it, other than that, I've never physically seen anything with eye shine.
Right. All right. I think I saw a question there from Elusive DB.
Yeah, he was asking about the eye shine, but he also asked about the smell, if you guys had ever caught the smell that people talk about.
I smelled it up in Ohio. It was more like a musty urine scent up there, as well as in Carbon Hill, Alabama. We've never seen nothing there in Carbon Hill, but we did have the scents come around us a number of times.
I never smelled anything except the guy next to me. and that's the truth.
Yeah.
Hawk, is he talking about you?
No. He's talking about somebody from Indiana.
Oh, no.
Oh, man.
No.
Is that it, CB? I don't think there was any more questions, was there, DB?
No, but I could say that I also have smelled. I mean, I might have been standing as close as 8 feet away from one. If the guy who was standing beside me is telling the truth, that he saw one. It was so dark I couldn't even see my hands in front of my hands in front of my eyes. But this guy had spent a lot of time outside, and he had very good night vision, and he swore he could see one. Now, when he was seeing it, I smelled what smelled like to me some guy peed all over himself. It was a very strong urine smell, and it smelled kind of human. A lot of it, there's a lot of what you would expect to smell if a guy peed outside. But mixed with that, there was this very strong animal smell. So it was a very unique thing, something I've never smelled together before.
Right.
Didn't smell that, the classic, BO skunk wet dog thing. I might have smelled that just once, and that was in Maryland. It was just for such a split second, but it was a couple of us that smelled it. It's a pretty interesting experience to smell that for just a split second, and then it was gone.
Right. There, Andy. Andy's got his standard question up.
All right. Yeah, I see that. If Hawk and Luke had $1 bazillion, how would that change their research?
I'd have the best equipment money could buy.
Exactly.
And I'd be out all the time.
Well, we would get top-notch researchers and combine forces, and that's the hardest thing to do because you got to kill and no-kill people. You got to find some kind of neutral ground between both people and work together on the issue, because if we don't, this thing's not going to be found. There's a lot of people. That's the biggest thing in Bigfoot. You got a lot of people who compete against each other instead of with each other. And, if you can find the right people and the right amount of money, money talks. You get the best equipment money can buy. You get out there, you get your hands dirty with these individuals. You get out there and spend time out in the fields, get into the areas that are supposed to be the most active, and attempt to do whatever to prove the existence of a creature, whether it be science or documented video footage or whatever.
Right. All right. Well, guess what, y'all? We've exhausted our time.
Well, we appreciate y'all having us on here, man, and would like to ask y'all to come on anytime that y'all want to. Y'all are welcome to call in on our show. And
go ahead and give a plug for your show, Hawk.
It's Bigfoot Truth and Lies. It's on every other Tuesday night. We do 2 shows a month unless it's a 5-week month, and then we'll do 3 shows a month. And November, we got a big meet and greet where we're inviting everybody from all over the United States, whether they're killed or no killed, to come and stay on 75 acres of primitive campground that's owned by one of our friends. And there's some individuals that will be not allowed out there, which they know who they are. And we're going to have a good time. And it's totally free for anybody.
Very good. Well, I'm sure everybody appreciates the invitation, and I'm sure you'll get some takers on it. And Luke, I hope you take it easy. I guess you didn't get any headaches tonight.
I got lucky this time.
You got lucky.
Yeah, that's all I can say.
Good deal. Well, Hawk and Luke, both of you, I thank you a lot for coming on the show. I think everybody enjoyed themselves, and hopefully we can invite you all back again sometime.
All right, yeah, appreciate it.
We appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, CB, we've wrapped up another one.
Can you believe it?
We just keep on going, don't we?
Yep. One after another.
Yep. So hopefully you had a good Labor Day. And before we go off the air, I want to thank everyone tonight for being on the show, tuning in. Without you guys, of course, we wouldn't have a show. I'll repeat that every week if I have to. So thanks to each and every one of you. We had about 61 at one time in the chat, and we appreciate each and every one of you. So good night, everyone, and for what's left, have a nice rest of your Labor Day. Back to work tomorrow. All right, we're off the air.
All right.
We've wrapped up another one. I believe, and don't hold me to this, I've got to, this will be in the archive, so I'm sure people will be emailing me. But I believe we're going to have, I don't remember, do you remember a fellow by the name of Tim Day, DV?
That name rings a bell, but I don't remember why it rings a bell.
Okay, well he is a fella who had a pretty good sighting encounter, and I think if I remember correctly, we had him on the Squatch Detective show way back when I was co-hosting with Steve, and he has since that time has thought about what he saw, and of course he's had time to really kind of sit and really think about things. And I was talking to him the other day by email, and he had mentioned that he'd like to come and share some of his views, some things he's been thinking about. And I was like, well, I think that's a great idea.
Cool.
So
yeah.
We'll probably have him on next week, but I need to confirm with him because he is. Word do I want to use? He is ill and is home, so I have to make sure he's okay to be able to be up to doing a show. So if I can't get him, if he doesn't feel like he can do it, he'll usually tell me like the day before, and then I'll have to grab somebody else. But so hopefully he'll be able to do it. He said he's been feeling a lot better here lately, so. And apparently, I guess his last doctor visit was a good one, and they're saying that he's doing better now, according to all of his test results, than he ever has. So,
well, that's
hopefully
good.
he's doing better. So, but he's a good guy. He's very interesting to listen to, and he had a pretty good sighting back some years ago. So, we'll get him on if he's able. Hopefully, he'll still be okay, and we'll be able to get him on the air. Anything else going on? How was your Labor Day, DV?
Well, my wife had me out digging holes to put plants in all day long. I must have dug 15 holes. So it was a day of labor for me.
I
think she has that backwards. She thinks that I'm supposed to be laboring on Labor Day.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. All right, well, I guess we'll call it a night, and we'll see everybody next Monday night.
Yep.
So we will talk to you later, DB. Thank you for being a wonderful co-host as always.
And thank you for being an awesome host, and it was a great show. We'll see you all next week.
Yep, see you next week. Good night.
A legend silently stalks the forest around the world, leaving giant man-like footprints in its wake. Skeptics scoff, while the true believers search for the answers, and those who have seen it will never forget. Monday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, Blog Talk Radio. Billy Willard and the Blog Squatcher present Sasquatch Watch Radio. Your hosts Billy Willard and Dee Donlin bring you 60 minutes of the latest news and information, newly discovered evidence, and interviews with those searching for the truth and those who have seen it. Do you believe? Want to know the truth? It's out there waiting. Monday nights, 9 p.m. Blog Talk Radio. Sasquatch Watch Radio. Sit down, hold on tight, get ready, because it is about to go down. blogtalkradio.com/Sasquatch Watch Radio.
Gather at the Winter Village at Cameron Run and experience the magic of the holidays with ice and lights. Enjoy a fun, unstructured outdoor family experience just a few minutes from Old Town Alexandria. Explore whimsical light displays, snap selfies, and take a spin on the outdoor ice rink. Book your visit early. Calendars fill fast, so make your plans with friends, visitors, guests, or that special someone today. Buy tickets today at CameronIceandLights.com. That's CameronIceandLights.com.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.